Okay, so what I want to do now is talk about how to deal with examples with pronouns. And so here's the page that I'm going to be using. It's called Examples with Pronouns. And there's a new model here, M5, and I've added some new friends. So I've added a black horse, a white horse, and a crown, which we can think of as a king. And so they're sort of dispersed throughout this, and you can see this as at your leisure. There are sort of two crucial things that I've added here that are worth mentioning. The first is that I've added male and female to the mix. That's for our gender cases. The other is that I've added a couple instances of collective predicates. So I added kiss, and so collectively, kiss we said had a plural subject, so it's only an intransitive. And so that means these two individuals kissed and these two individuals kissed. And I also added encircle, where the subject is a sum and the object is not necessarily. So in this case, these two individuals encircled this individual. All right, the other thing that I've added in addition to the model is this context. So now imagine that this is a particular snapshot in time in which one individual is speaking in a certain situation, and so here this is the speaker and here's the addressee. And so the addressee here, is an individual, so the addressee could be either atomic or a sum individual, and so it's a sum in this case. So it's this individual is talking to these two. In addition to those two facts, the context has an assignment. So this says who we've been talking about. So we've been talking about the king, talked about the horse, and then I added the fact that these guys maybe have been talking about themselves, or more properly, that because they're right there, they're salient. So here's the speaker in this case, here are the two addressees as individuals, and then there's a way of referring to both of them. And that's because, in point of fact, I could use you, and I could refer to either of these, or I could use is plural and refer to both of these. And so now what I want to do is walk through some examples using these expressions right here to try to make sense of everything. Okay, so what do I want to use? So I want to look at he is short, is happy and tall, he and I kissed. You encircled me, where I'm putting two here to mean you plural, and you encircled me, where I have two individuals, you and you, that I'm talking to. Before I do that, I want to talk very briefly about a final slide I didn't get a chance to talk about in class. So I ended here, where I asked, what are these subscripts? And so we went through all these things about them being presuppositions, and then I said, but you don't have to worry about that. When we do translations, it might be useful to think of person, number, and gender as conditions on how those translations can happen. So, for instance, if I have a context C, where the speaker is this blue man, the addressee is the green weightlifter, and the assignment has the red woman, blue man, green weightlifter, the sum of the blue man and the red woman, and then this snowboarder. And then the model has specifies that the males are the blue man, the weightlifter, the snowboarder, and then this person in a wheelchair, and the female is this red woman. When we are trying to translate he, which intuitively, not intuitively, we now know is third masculine and singular, what we have to do is figure out what index it could have. And so the ambiguity comes from the fact that we don't know exactly which index it could be. In principle, it could be any one of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And so where I ended class today was saying that the functions of these presuppositions is to constrain us so that it's easier to see who could be talked about in any situation. And that's relative to the model and the context. It sort of imposes conditions on what can be translated or not. So he is translated as some x sub I, where I is a number, but that x sub I had better meet the restrictions of third and singular. So in particular, it had better be singular, which means it better not be a sum individual. And since x4 maps to a sum individual, he could not translate it as x4. Okay. Similarly, it has to meet the restrictions of M, so it had better be something in this set, but not here. So it can't translate as this red individual, which is x1, so it can't do that. It also can't, it has to meet the restrictions of third, so it can't be either the speaker or the addressee. And so the speaker is here and the addressee is here, so it can't be then x2 or x3 because those are first and second. And so the only thing it can be is x5.